This is the big one, the revenge match. It is the final before the final. India take on Australia at Sydney in the second World Cup semis with a passion and fervour to join New Zealand in Melbourne. The form of the Indian team is incredible. The deafening noise of the crowd will definitely be in their favour. So can the men in blue inflict defeat on the home team and book a ticket for Melbourne on Sunday? Well, we will try to solve this intriguing puzzle at this edition of the Cup That Matters with our panel of experts. Andrew Simons, who knows exactly what it takes to win a World Cup, Nikhil Chopra, and as well as our consulting editor, Boria Majumdar, who's joining us from Sydney and is following very closely the Indian and the Australian practices. But first up, let's look at what exactly the Indian team has been up to. Team India is on a high in the World Cup. They've won all 7 of their matches played so far. This, in fact, is a much better side than what the Australian team has been and have managed in the tournament. The cherry on the cake being that the Indian team does not seem to have any apparent weaknesses, while the Australians are still struggling to find a full-time spinner.
India face the biggest test of the World Cup as Dhoni's men take on Australia in the second semi-final. And India look good to upset Australia's apple cart in their own backyard. The reason is simple: India's form in the tournament has been simply superb. The team has won 7 matches on the trot, which shows that the team has momentum. India has even beaten tough teams like South Africa and Pakistan. No wonder India looks good to beat Australia also.
There couldn't be a better time for us. It's an opportunity for us to do justice to the way we played so far in Australia.
So whatever the experts say, the momentum is with India in the second semi-final.
Well, obviously great performances there by the Indian team, winning 7 matches on a trot. Andrew, I know you'll be a little biased out here, but Team India has played incredibly in the World Cup so far, better than what Australia has done.
Yeah, I wouldn't say incredibly. I'd say they've played very well. As I said yesterday, there's only been one team that's chased down a big total, and that's New Zealand. So if India have to do it tomorrow, I'm not so sure that they'll be able to do it. I think over the course of the tournament, teams have worked out how to bowl to Kohli, Rayner and Dhawan. So I think those men are going to be under pressure because they're not going to get the freedom that they had earlier in the tournament, because teams will be very well organised on how to bowl to them, especially early in their innings.
Boria, do you agree that Team India has not really been sort of tested in the tournament till now, and whatever great performances they've had, haven't come really against very strong oppositions if you leave, if you leave, say, South Africa aside?
Pakistan is also strong opposition, Radhika, so that's an important match that India won. But I agree with Andrew. I think India's played well. Having said that, I do think Virat Kohli outside that off stump, wide outside that off stump, Shikhar Dhawan, Suresh Raina, especially against the shortish ball, will have issues. I mean, Mitchell Starc, Mitchell Johnson, Josh Hazlewood will be a very different kind of attack, James Faulkner, Shane Watson, than compared to anything India has faced. I mean, beating Bangladesh, Zimbabwe and Ireland isn't the best kind of preparation coming into this World Cup semi-final. And in the just concluded press conference, I mean, if you see the body language of Michael Clarke, he sounded very confident. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. He knows that there will be 70% Indian support. He said it will be like India. We are aware of it. But every Australian cricketer who steps onto that Sydney cricket ground is a very special place for them to play cricket. So Australia will come very, very hard at India. If Indians win the toss, bat first, post 300, great chance. But if India chases, and if Australia puts a big total on the board against that bowling lineup, India have an issue.
So India could have issues in that semi-final, but the Sydney cricket ground will turn into a battlefield on Thursday when India and Australia walk out in the middle. A mini battle, though, will be waged on between the two captains as well, between Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Michael Clarke.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni and Michael Clarke.
Oh, gee, what a battle that is.
Something about MS Dhoni and World Cups.
Dhoni's ahead because of the number of wins he's got in one-day cricket.
Two captains with contrasting styles. One a master tactician, the other a clinical leader.
You can't beat Dhoni, and I think even Michael Clarke would admit.
My goal is to try and help Australia win this World Cup.
On Thursday, Sydney Cricket Ground will witness a battle between two of the finest captains in world cricket today.
he will go after Dhoni, definitely.
He stands up, so that's Dhoni for you.
Like our experts put it, Dhoni clearly has the experience, winning 100 matches, but Clark is better with the win percentage. The second semi-final will be a test like never before for both skippers. Both champions in their own right, but only one can come out on top.
So captaincy has been very important in this World Cup, and Nikhil, I'd like to know from you, obviously Dhoni is more experienced, he's won a World Cup, but Michael Clark has a great team as well and he has a better win percentage. Who do you think holds the edge here?
Well, I guess going into the big game, of course, Mahendra Singh Dhoni with the kind of experience that you've got, but the important thing you just said, Radhika, that Michael Clark's got a good team and it makes a big, big difference. Your captain is always as good as your side, you know. A captain cannot go and bowl for anybody, he cannot go and bat for anybody, but when it comes to strategy, he can form it. But the execution part is the most important in sport as well. So in that regard, you know, Michael Clark holds the aces in the kind of team that he's got. But come the pressure game, because Mahendra Singh Dhoni has been there, he's won the Champions Trophy, the T20 World Cup to his name as well, so he's far more experienced. Come the crunch situation, I think Mahendra Singh Dhoni might be a much cooler, calmer head to deal with. But at the end of the day, you need to spread that game over 100 overs and see who plays better cricket.
So we need to see who plays better cricket. But as we build up to this all-important semi-final between India and Australia, we take a look at India's secret weapon, the men who stood up, the men who've mattered, the bowlers and how they will be the key at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
70 wickets in 7 matches. That's what the Indian bowlers have done in the World Cup so far. What's even better is that not even a single team has been able to play the full quota of 50 overs against India. And that's why India has the edge over Australia in the semi-final.
The spinners are attacking in the middle overs, and most impressive are the 3 quicks. They're causing lots of problems, bowling out the opposition. They've taken it to a different level.
What's more, India's bowling with 2 spinners and 3 fast bowlers is far more balanced than Australia.
The Indian bowling has surprised all in the World Cup. Boria, I'd like to ask you, do you think that, has the Indian bowling surprised you? All of them, Mohammad Shami, Umesh Yadav, Mohit Sharma, Ravichandran Ashwin, they've all bowled brilliantly.
Absolutely, big time. I mean, if there is anything that has surprised everybody and pleasantly for Indian fans and Indian analysts, it's been the bowling. I mean, they've been outstanding. Having said that, I don't think Australia is any down in the bowling department at all. Radhika, this is Sydney Cricket Ground. This is Australia. If this match was in the Kotla or in the Wankhede, it would be a different story, or at the Eden Gardens. Make no mistake, when that Australian team walks out in that Sydney Cricket Ground, home to Michael Clark, David Warner, you know, a lot of these players have grown up in this cricket ground. They've played all their cricket here. So Josh Hazlewood, Shane Watson, Mitchell Johnson, Mitchell Stark, no freebies for India. So while the Indian bowling is top draw, the Australians are no behind. That's what makes this match a humdinger, a real cracker of a contest. And for me, it's 50-50.
For Boria, it's 50-50. Andrew, like Boria said, of course, Australia have a great bowling lineup as well. Mitchell Stark is the #2 wicket taker in the World Cup. But if you look at, say, Mitchell Johnson, he's not really performed that well as he would have wanted to.
Yeah, I'm hoping Mitch has got a big game in him tomorrow. He's probably one of these players. He probably sometimes puts too much expectation on himself, and he tries too hard sometimes, and things don't work out for him. So hopefully he can just relax into the game tomorrow, bowl fast and swing the ball and be effective, and just enjoy his game of cricket. But Mitchell Stark, he's been quality throughout. He's bowled fast. He's swung the ball and he's knocked players over with the new ball and the old ball coming back at the end. So he's a key man. You know, we keep talking about how well India are going to have to play against him with the new ball, but also if the game gets tight at the end, he's a very difficult man to hit, especially on a bigger ground like Sydney. They're not playing in New Zealand. So to find the boundary, you know, if you need 10, 12 and over at the end against Mitchell Stark, that's not so much of an easy concept. So, you know, tomorrow, as Boria says, it's going to be a humdinger.
It's going to be a difficult one. Hitting Mitchell Stark at Sydney will not be easy. But India's stylish batsman Virat Kohli can't wait to take on Australia in the semi-final of the World Cup. Virat feels that this is the best time for India to beat the Australians. Team India did not have a good start to the tour of Australia, losing 2-0 in the Test series and then going down tamely in the one-day series as well. However, the Indian team has turned it around in the World Cup, winning 7 matches on the trot. And with the Indian bowlers finding their rhythm, Kohli feels that India can beat Australia.
There couldn't be a better time for us. It's an opportunity for us to do justice to the way we played so far in Australia. The difference now is, especially how our bowling attack has come into play in this World Cup, and taking 70 wickets in 7 games. That's probably been the difference. And you expect your bowlers to step up if you want to beat quality sides in the world. And the way they have done this in this World Cup, it's been commendable.
So Virat Kohli feels it's the best time for India to beat Australia. Nikhil, do you agree with him?
Well, this is it. It's make or break. At this moment in time, you need to go out there, play your best cricket. You've been in top-notch form, but Radhika, whatever's happened in the past, in the league stages, it doesn't make a difference. Now it all just boils down to one game. You're one game away from getting into the final, then that game as well. So, but you got to focus when you're bowling on those 300 deliveries, and when you're batting, got to focus on those 300 deliveries. Break it down. Look at your strengths and see where you can, come over the top, and that's it. And you have to hold your nerve. Don't get carried away with the situation. It's important. Just go ball by ball, and you make the small dots connect, and you will make a larger picture.
We are building up to India's big semi-final clash against Australia. And in a recent press conference, James Faulkner said that Australia might just feel like the away team at the SCG. Now, if you're wondering why, well, all I can say is that Sydney will surely be painted all blue for this mega semi-final clash.
For once, the Australian team will be completely at sea in Sydney. It may be their home ground, but they're going to feel like an away team. The reason? Out of the 42,000 seats available, 30,000 have been bought by Indian supporters. Not just that, the Australian team was shooed away by the ICC when they came up with a request to have a fast pitch at the SCG. Instead, a sporting track awaits the semi-final, and that certainly is going to suit India.
Well, it's definitely going to be all blue at the Sydney cricket ground, and I want to know what Andrew Simons feels about it. Your captain, Michael Clarke, actually had to go to Twitter and ask fans to come and see the match.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. It sounds a bit sad, that. But obviously, ticket sales are going to be huge. The amount of people that are from India and come from all over the world, but are Indian people, have obviously flooded the market. We saw how many Indians went to the MCG when they played South Africa. So there's obviously a lot of Indians there. And tickets, I would assume tickets will be quite expensive. So I think the people that have gone, the Indians that have gone to Australia, will be prepared to spend that extra money. And times are a little tough in Australia at the moment, so your average man in Australia may not have the money to be able to go and buy a ticket and go down and support. So it'll be very interesting to see, but I would say that there'll be more Indians there than Australians, unfortunately, tomorrow.
So obviously, the Sydney cricket ground will be packed with Indian supporters. A lot of positives going ahead for Team India ahead of their semi-final clash. But Dhoni and co will have to defy history if they want to beat Australia. India have a dismal record at the SCG, and that could well play in the minds of the Indian players.
The only thing against Team India is their record in Sydney. India cannot escape from the fact that their head-to-head record against Australia is poor. India have lost 7 of the 10 matches to Australia in the World Cup. The team has lost 12 of the 14 one-day matches played at the SCG. What's even worse is that Australia has never lost a semi-final match in the World Cup. Clearly, the records don't favour the Indian team, and that's why this is the biggest challenge for India in the cup that matters.
So obviously, India have a dismal record at the SCG, but is it something that Team India will be worried about? Boria, I'd like to ask you this. Team India obviously have a bad record at the SCG, and Australia have never lost a semi-final. But more than that, the fact that Australia outplayed India for over 2 months, will that somewhere play in the mind of the Indian players?
Radhika, there's always a first, so tomorrow can be a first for India, knocking Australia out in the semi-finals. I asked Rohit that question in the press conference about 35 minutes back, and he said there's absolutely no scarring. So no scarring whatsoever. India is confident. India believes in their ability. The bowlers are doing well, batsmen doing well. It'll be a cracker of a contest. I mean, Michael Clarke is confident. The Indian team is confident. It will be a real semi-final. I want an enactment of what we saw yesterday. Match going down to the wire. Every cricket fan getting his money's worth. Andrew was talking about Indian fans from outside. Look at Western Sydney. It is almost all India. I mean, that little India around Parramatta, I visited, I did not even find, I mean, I was having Bombay Bhel, which is much better than Bombay Bhel I get in Bombay. I was getting Pan, better than Pan that I get in Calcutta. So the little India in Sydney is unbelievable. So these people will come and take over the ground tomorrow, 70+%, and will make it a cracker of an atmosphere.
A cracker of a game awaits India at the SCG. Andrew, obviously fan support will be behind India, but when we talk about the fact that Australia defeated India, the last 2 months, and Australia, but the way India have played in the tournament, obviously, who do you think holds the edge going into the match?
Oh, look, statistically, I don't think the fact that we've never lost a semi-final really comes into your thinking, because you have to go out there and play well, but Australia having pounded India for 2.5 months. I'm wondering whether that at some point, if we have a good start, get a couple of early wickets, you wonder whether that sort of thing starts to leak into the Indian camp and they start thinking, here we go again. And don't worry, the Aussie boys will be reminding the Indian players of what's just gone on previously. And if they get a chance, if they get a little bit of blood in the water, they'll be trying to really, really exploit that part of how the two teams have played so much against each other over the last 3 or 4 months.
So obviously mind games will be played, very important out there. Virat Kohli's already said that this is the best Indian team out there to defeat Australia. That is all that we have in this bulletin of the Cup That Matters. Thanks for watching.